Hi, my name is Kathleen Crowley, and I'm the clinical supervisor for LifeWork Strategies EAP. And I thought today we could talk a little bit about decompression. Really, what I thought about is we could talk about what it actually is, what activation is, fresh ways to decompress, and how to identify stress management strategies and what to do moving forward. So when we talk about decompression, we have to start with why do we need it? We need it because we get stressed. Let's talk about how stress will manifest itself in ways that sometimes we're not quite aware of. For example, irritability, cynicism, complaining without resolve, and even low productivity. This low productivity can also be called presenteeism. We've all had a day or two when we might have been distracted by something else, or frankly, we're just too tired. But when this becomes our norm, you know the times when you're at work, but you're not really at work because your mind is somewhere else. We've had those days, but when that becomes a constant or your norm, then you know that you might have some real stress going on that needs to be addressed. We may be physically at work, but not fully performing. And this is where mistakes get made. So, by developing effective strategies for reducing your vulnerability to stress and the impact of adversity, it's possible to actually strengthen and develop personal resilience. So, it's all about really understanding what's happening to you. And the more we understand about ourselves, the more we're able to correct ourselves or to understand. When we understand ourselves, we're able to acknowledge and move on. So, this is no different, really, when we talk about stress. And we're not always aware when it happens. So let's define what decompression is. Now we know what stress is, and decompression is really the degree to which one can withdraw, recharge, and enjoy life outside of work. There was a study out of Harvard that was created to understand burnout and resilience, and it used four questions. And I want to say these questions to you because I want to see if maybe you relate to any of these. One, I rarely lose sleep over work issues. Two, I'm able to feel free from my mind. I'm able to free my mind from work when I'm away from it. Three, I can enjoy my personal time without focusing on work matters. This is really key right here, that last one. And four, I'm able to disconnect from work communications during my free time. So this study in Harvard asked people to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5 with these statements. And so decompression, it's really about what you do when you close your laptop. So you often feel tired, but not because you've done too much, but because you've done too little of what sparks the light in you. What do you do that makes you feel better, that disconnects you from everything, that lifts you up? That's decompression. That's what takes you away. And that's what rejuvenates you. And it's important. So, why is it necessary? Well, look at her. She's not looking so great for the age of 32. She desperately needs to decompress. Decompression is crucial. It's a prerequisite in sustaining work performance and maintaining a healthy balance between career and privacy. Let's talk about the importance and the impact of decompression first. It's not, again, what you do, it is what you do rather when you close your laptop. What are you doing when you leave work, when you let it go? What do we do when we hop off that hamster wheel? And I want to talk about some strategies, things that you can implement for yourself and things that you can do for yourself. And as we talk more about this, I want you to keep thinking about how it manifests in yourself and what you're doing for yourself. Now, maybe you've seen this sort of slide before, maybe you haven't, but it's all about self-care. You would never let your phone battery run this low. So why do you let yourself run this low? It's really important to stay charged, to be able to take care of yourself so you can run optimally. And so I really like this visual because we're always so afraid that our phone will run out of juice and we won't be able to access it. The same happens to us. People aren't going to be able to access us. We won't be able to access our own creative juices. We won't be able to perform optimally. And so we have to stay charged. And the way to stay charged is to truly decompress. But let's talk about activation. That study I mentioned earlier out of Harvard also rated, gave some statements and had people rate themselves accordingly with statements around activation. See, activation is the extent to which a person is motivated by his or her work and finds it meaningful. So Harvard went and asked a bunch of people, the work I do makes a difference. People had to rate themselves from 1 to 5. Was that true for them or was it not? Second, the work is meaningful. Third, I care for all my clients equally when it's difficult. And finally, I see every client as an individual person with specific needs. So activation is how motivated you are to go to work. And decompression is what you do after work to get yourself motivated. You following along? So the results of this study that Harvard did was that they found the greater a person's agreement with these statements, the more resilient they were exhibiting in the face of stress, and the more likely they will be resistant to burnout. And the study showed that decompression and activation are moderately correlated. What that means is if I do a good job at decompression, I will be well activated. So it's a nice circle, but you have to keep tending to it. And people are better able to decompress, and they're somewhat more likely to be activated at their work. And these findings really underscore how important it is for us to find meaning in our work and to feel tied to a mission of care and to our jobs, but also have this life outside of work that is meaningful as well, the old work-life balance. And so what are some of the strategies? Well, you got to remember, it's your job, not your life. You have to have a life with your job or outside of your job and change what you can. Let go of trying to fix the things you're not able to control. Maintain a healthy perspective between what is work and what is life. Prioritize. Know that work is important and you need it and you want to be good at what you do. But how to do that is that you find meaning and purpose outside of work as well, so that you're well balanced. Really, the goal is to make sure that you properly decompress so that you can show up fully activated, fully motivated for work. Make sense? And so some more strategies that I can share are to do things. There's more and more studies out there to show that just taking a walk, going outside, being in nature is a way of true decompression. I really think it's about just distraction. There's so much to see out in nature. But just having that fresh air, having the sun beat on your face. Journaling, that's been big. Journaling down your thoughts, thinking about what you went through that day, letting it all out, letting it all go, or journaling gratitude, finding things in your everyday to be grateful for. This is really important to focus on the positive. You see, we're really wired to think about the negative. That comes way too easy for us. But turning things around and practicing positivity, it's exactly that. You have to practice it. And when you practice it, then it becomes habitual. So if you're finding or journaling something to be grateful for or something good in your everyday, if you're consistent with that over time, it will start to rewire your brain. There are studies out there to show that. And you can do that. And then there's centering yourself and yoga and exercise, all those strategies too. They all matter because you have to separate yourself from work. So how do you truly decompress? You really have to see yourself as a whole. The key to success is to keep growing in all areas of life, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, as well as your physical. So says the famous basketball player, Dr. J. He was a successful guy. He truly believed that we were connected in all these areas, and all these areas needed attention. We need to attend to all these parts of our lives outside of work so that we can be activated to perform, just like he did. And then there was this great study out of Duke University that talked about three good things. This goes back to the journaling, the idea of at the end of the day, writing down three good things that happened, and then putting yourself and attributing yourself to what made those three good things happen. For example, you had a great first cup of coffee in the morning. Was it because you made it yourself? Or was it because you had the money in your pocket and you could go and you could buy the exact kind of coffee that you wanted? Finding something good in your everyday. This study actually showed that after time, people did start to get rewired and they started to look for the three good things on their own, and it became a habit. This helps when you really need to be activated for your next day to find things that went well in the day before. So, as we end, make this promise to yourself. What is your commitment to yourself moving forward? What would you do differently starting today? What will you do to take care of yourself outside of work, to truly decompress, to truly disconnect from work so that you can show up fully motivated and fully activated? I hope this was helpful. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you truly decompress every day. You need to tend to it every day. Thank you.